If you need to fuel yourself, I'm sure there is some coffee that you can have. So you're ready to listen to another keynote speaker who is joining us from UK and actually joining us online, it being a hybrid event. And our next keynote speaker is Michael Boevink. He's joining us from United Kingdom, as I said, specifically from London, where he represents an organization called Fintech Circle. It's internationally operating fintech scale-up program. And Michael is going to share his experience of the role of investors in developing the fintech startup ecosystem. So, do we have Michael anywhere?
I am here. If you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you very well. Thank you so much for your introduction. Really appreciate that.
Perfect. Yeah. The stage is yours, Michael. Please go ahead.
I wish I would have been there live. Would have been wonderful to meet you all. But the most important subject next to what I'm going to explain about Fintech Circle is the importance of an ecosystem around investments, because that's the most important thing people highly underestimate. Or people say, oh, we need to build community, or we say, oh, we need to build up an investment network, but actually you need both. And that is one of the things we did with Fintech Circle. We built up a system, and that's why we also like to speak with companies like ROCKIT to strengthen our ecosystem for companies from Lithuania, as well as from UK companies who want to go to Lithuania, or the other way around, in a cross-border ecosystem of sales. And I just need to toggle this one to the next, if I'm correct. So if you look at what Fintech Circle did, Fintech Circle is one of the first European fintech investment programs running around. We build up a network by introducing expert books, and those books are written by people all over the world who give their expertise on wealth tech, pay tech, legal tech, etc. With that, we start building up an ecosystem while running, in the meantime, startup investment programs as well on several levels. Just need to see if we can make this a bit bigger. What happens next is that ecosystem starts growing and that people want to join that ecosystem. And what we now have is around 130,000 people connected to that network. So people like to join companies like Fintech Circle because that helps them grow quicker. Now, if you combine that with investments, so we got an investment platform running for startups and scale-ups, you have to realize that they then also can tap into that network. So Lithuanian companies who said, okay, I'm going to open in the UK and want to create traction, then we can instantly help them with that cross-border sales. That's also the strength of ROCKIT at the moment. Their conference day is very valuable. Why? Because you increase the network. People already reached out to me. They said, oh, you're speaking at ROCKIT. So that's very important from a VC perspective as well. Because VCs don't only bring money, they bring money, knowledge, and network. If you want to scale a company, you need the network, we always say. That's the combination of factors. And that's what basically Fintech Circle offers within that platform. And do I go to the next slide? Apologies for the hesitation. It's the clicking system I have to get used to. So what happens in that system is that the startups become a member of Fintech Circle, and they're being supported with scaling. On the other side, we got all the corporates like the central banks and the normal banks who are interested in these startups who join the network as well. So we're sharing knowledge on embedded finance, on open banking, etc., towards each other. But also, if you look at the startup investments requests we get, We get the latest in green finance, latest technologies, and all those companies have the option to share that knowledge with bigger and corporate companies as well. So that speeds up their growth and their sales. Okay, okay, getting the hang of this. So this is a part of our network, and you see what really happens. That will be great. That will be great. Yeah, sorry guys, I get some help with doing the slides. This is one of the slides I'm showing you now, is that we have that combination of network, of that corporate network, where we create exits as well. So when a startup company is growing and gets its first investment money in, and we're building up that ecosystem and network together, and they're growing, we also have that access to the exit. So Santander bought the company within 3 years of building it up, is one example. But the whole idea is that we create the benefit for both sides. At the moment, fintech is a really hot subject in general. If you look at the corporate side, they have problems, challenges with the speed of development. So they're often too late or too slow, but they're interested in getting the latest of fintech. So what those banks do, they look around, they follow the platform of Fintech Circles. Okay, this can be of interest of my company, my bank as well. As well, we can then also support the smaller ones to get into that bank. And that helps with leveraging the speed of development of a scale up, which is often a challenge, because if you're a startup and you knock on a door of a bank, you said, look, I got this great fintech idea, you often don't get the entrance, and you need both. And the bank often just doesn't have the knowledge. They have knowledge, but they don't see the opportunities. So when we have selection days, where we get around 50 to 100 investment proposals, within those investment proposals, you see the latest technology coming up, sometimes too early, sometimes not yet there. But you see, for example, a lot of ESG, sustainable carbon offset, fintech solutions are coming into place now. We already know that it's coming. And then the bank is aware that it's coming. Now, on the other side, you see banks that ESG and green finance is a growing area they need to play a role in. And then we can match that as well. And that makes it quite interesting. Next slide, please. Thank you so much. Within our corporate network, you can see we got all the big names in there. And again, if you look at how we treat them versus the Start, Grow, Skill program, is that they are very much interested in looking into the latest technologies, looking into the latest startup and scale-ups in the market, how to settle that for them, how to embed that in a large organization. You can imagine that companies like Deutsche Bank cannot handle a small startup. So that takes time in the scaling program as well, till they got the right subject, and then often or they buy it or they build it themselves. That's also an honest answer. But that's why the ecosystem is very much of importance, and that's why we say that hubs like ROCKIT help you to strengthen your network, as well as Fintech Circle helps you with that with a global network as well, and that helps you growing the company. From a VC perspective, that creates extra value to get to the next level, because you don't come up with only money. We also come up with the network behind that as well, to make them grow. And that is a very strong proposition in general. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you so much. So I just want to tell you a little bit about the basic trends, what we see in the UK and Europe. I think that's interesting to know. Lithuania is one of the innovators in the market. But what we see at the moment is the UK still dominates the European fintech investment market, with a total of $9.3 billion, by far one of the biggest companies. Now, why is that? One of the main reasons is that investing in innovation in the UK has been much more accessible. So London, yes, is the capital market of basically of Europe, we always say. but it also had access. It gives access to capital. And next to that, they got specific tax relief programs, which I'll tell a little bit more later, SEIS and EIS, which gives the opportunity for a lot of startups to get the capital investment towards the UK. We see Germany coming up and the Netherlands and Ireland as well. The reason for that is that with Brexit, there are more hubs coming up. We see Lithuania, the whole area in Eastern Europe, as one of the innovators in the market growing up, and we expect that there is also more capital flow going into those countries. But if you think just logically, UK is just one of the capital cities in the world to create your startup. Yeah. We're working always in a highly competitive environment. So if you look at the UK, is what I said, we got over 150 applications for our last investment round. And what we always say, there are more projects than money, but there is also more money than projects. And one of those things is that we need to match the projects and the money. If that's correct, then you'll have a good flow of investment from a venture capital point of view. But it is always a challenge. If you see, sometimes we get really good ideas, just doesn't fit or doesn't match the investor. And then you actually know that if they take the money, it will be a bad investment because it's a bad marriage. And investment and marriage is almost the same. You know, you're in for the long run. Even if you have an exit after 5 years, you will know that it's a very intensive period in those 5 years, which is quite important to make that match. Just a little bit more about trends, which I think is important to manage. If you now look at what we see in the fintech space, and I don't think it's going to be any different in Lithuania, is that responsible fintech. We just launched the responsible fintech movie. We see a lot of our clients getting ESG proof, ESG awards, focusing on that as well. On the investment side, we see a lot of green finance solutions coming up. So carbon offset or using your MasterCard, planting a tree. All those things are taking a relatively fast pace at the moment. What you also see from a VC perspective is that the need for sustainable investment is getting bigger. So we got big companies who now said, look, if it's not sustainable, we're not allowed to invest anymore in those type of companies. So that's in general a trend. Embedded finance is a huge running trend. We see non-fintechs becoming fintechs within 6 weeks. There are really good companies who have full payment rails, full regulation arranged in advance, so that you can just embed the finance and be a lender or or launch your own MasterCard, etc. We see that, or Visa card. We see that more and more coming up, and we expect that's a fast-growing market as well. In the UK, with companies like Railsbank, you see that they are rapidly increasing their market share, and we're getting from crypto to blockchain solutions who also want to have a MasterCard integrated with embedded finance. We see that coming up. That's the one side. And then we see non-fintechs coming up as well, very quick, that they say, look, we want to offer a financial service. Why don't we embed it? And the good thing about those type of things is that the consumer trust is already there. And that's a really good thing. So the consumer trust is already there. The finance and the regulation, etc., is all delivered on the back end side, and then it's and basically then it's delivered as well. Financial inclusion, people always think that's emerging markets, but that's not true. Financial inclusion is a serious development also in the UK and in Europe. We see that as a trend that not only elderly need to be helped with being more digital savvy, but also just people who have no access to bank accounts still. And that's still a worry for everyone. So that's a big one that's developing as well. And of course, digital assets is a big trend in the market as well. We just had a panel on stablecoins. We see huge developments coming into the stablecoin market, as well as tokenization, blockchain solutions, which we see as a rapid increasing market. And thank you. Can you show me the next slide, please? UK and Europe are pro-diversity, and that's really, really true. Nobody is scared to invest in foreign entrepreneurs, and TransferWise is a really good example. But there are a lot of other foreign companies we see coming by, and there are several VCs and investors who are not scared to invest in a foreign company. What you do need to do is your homework, and you do need to do your research. There is often, and that counts for the whole of Europe, but I take UK as a basic example. UK, you have the SEIS, EIS eligible investment program, which means that there is a tax relief on the investor side. And if you think about that, that means that you need to have a UK limited. It's very easy to open a UK limited. It's very easy to arrange EIS and SEIS eligibility. There is a great platform, or a lawyer can help you with that. That doesn't cost a lot of money, but you will need it if you want to get foreign investment. And we see that a lot coming by, and I think that's for Lithuania good to know. UK, great investment market, but do your research. Make sure you're well prepared for those things. Make sure you got that checklist done, because else you will just, without knowing, be rejected while you actually have a great product and a great investment proposal, but you don't follow the checklist. And it counts the same with the different level of series we have. So you have angel investment level, 150K to 500,000, you got 500,000 to 2 million, and then 2 to 10 million. If you're going to raise 2 to 10 million into countries like UK, Europe, you have to realize they work also with a checklist. So they will always ask then for a run rate. What is your run rate? If you don't follow that procedure and you don't hit that run rate, then you already know in advance you will not get the investment. And those things are very helpful to know, because you can have such a great product, but if you don't follow those simple things in your research, in your checklist, you will miss out on that investment. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you so much. Really, really very wonderful to be here. Just want to let you know a little bit more why we think ROCKIT is a great place. If you start sharing the network and the ecosystem, what we do, like we do with Fintech Circle in the UK, we already built it up to 130,000 people, and we're most willing to help ROCKIT to grow their startups within their environment as well. From an investment program, we got several investment programs running. So if you're thinking you want to raise investment, we do have foreign investment, but often a lot of our investors are from the UK, and then we just ask you to follow the checklist, but have then a look at fintechcircle.com or contact me directly for any other questions. Thank you so much, Juditha, for all your help, and thank you so much to the team for all your help arranging this session.
Hi, Michael. Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you well.
Super. Nice to see you again. Oh, you're just rolling.
Sorry for that.
That was kind of a move, you know?
I
was thinking, okay, do we have a magician there? So, Michael, I have one question for you, actually. What was the next, or will be the next startup that you are looking forward to invest in?
The next investment where I would invest in, well, probably blockchain and cryptocurrencies is the way to go. There are some high risk, high reward projects, but there are also some ambitious projects like an NGO exchange where we can actually generate money for the good. And tech for good is one of our passions. So yeah, that will be the next investment.
And what would you suggest for the startups that they would love or like to scale in the UK and meet the investors? What you would offer or suggest them to prepare for? What would be the thing that they need to have for sure?
Well, so if you want to go to the UK, make sure you're SEIS and EIS eligible. So that's more a legal thing, and open a UK limited, because that will not cost you the bank. That you can start that from £50 onwards. And that's more from a legal point of view. And from a company point of view, if you're a startup, one of the biggest misses we always see, there is not a good product market fit. And my CMO always explains it as follows: you do not have to sell a banana to a hungry gorilla. And it's a very simple metaphor, but I recommend every startup to dig very deep in what is now your ideal client and what are you going to solve for them. And we see we see great technical solutions, but it doesn't solve a problem and it doesn't have a client. And those things are critical for the success of your startup.
So I hope that works globally, right? It doesn't matter where
That works
you're gonna.
globally, yeah.
So thank you very much, Michael. It was lovely to have you today. Sadly, not live, but online. But we hope to see you live sometime here at ROCKIT soon.
Excellent. Looking forward to visit you.
Thank you very much.